And hello everyone, welcome to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. We're going to be starting off our program with some news and comment. Got a lot of stuff to talk about this afternoon, including this whole bit with the firing of Comey. What is that? He sure is getting big news, and it looks like Trump could be in trouble over it, according to a report I've been hearing. There's a lot of talk going on. We're going to talk about that coming up. And what's your opinion on it? We'll have that too as we get started on a Freestyle Friday edition of the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. 2 o'clock in the Central Time Zone right now. 3 o'clock in the East.
There's a president at war with the FBI.
And 3 o'clock in the East, and we have 12 noon Pacific. And I'm Gary J. Russen. Welcome to the Gary Russen program. First, news and comment. And we open up our news and comment this hour with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. He addressed a Rubicon voiced unprecedented readiness to reach a peace deal with Israel. Sources close to the efforts to renew the talks between Israel and the Palestinians. And he told the Jerusalem Post, Abbas, according to sources, made it clear that President Trump during that meeting in the White House last week, President plans to use this trip in Israel later this month to receive assurances that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he too is committed to peace and agreement. Since his meeting with Trump last week, Abbas has charged the rhetoric, issuing a number of statements meant to reflect flexibility on previous demands. He has, for example, said that he would renew the talks under the Trump's auspices without reconditioning. The past, he said he would negotiate with Netanyahu without freezing the settlement construction. And I got to wonder about that, because I really don't. That is the new story coming out about that. Meanwhile, Thursday, President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey. And many in the media are suggesting now that is Trump at war? Is Trump at war with the Bureau? Well, FBI Assistant Ron Hosko was talking and on a recent talk program, and he stated about Trump's relationship with the FBI.
There's a president at war with the FBI.
You know, I don't see at war with the FBI, and as you alluded to earlier, Jim Comey was the CEO of the FBI. He's the director. He's receiving briefings, asking hard questions, assessing whether the investigative team in this or other important cases has the right resources, or, he's keeping up to date, but he's not leading the investigation. There's an electronic case file. Case agents are documenting what's going on in this case. That case is locked down, so the whole world, let alone the FBI, can't even see it. It's a small group. Those guys are diligent professionals moving forward. So taking Jim Comey out of that equation is not going to change anything in this investigation. But one thing I can assure you is if those agents see obstacles deliberately placed in front of them, slowdowns, they're going to need prosecutive support at some point in these important investigations. And I guarantee you, those agents will not be silent if that comes to be.
Well, right now the story is that, Trump wrote a letter to Comey. In the letter he said, thank you for not putting me in, or even, thank you for leaving me out of the investigation. Thank you for not making me the center point of the investigation. So you have to wonder here, what exactly is going on? Is President Trump in trouble? I mean, you have to wonder that. I mean, you have to wonder if something is going on here. There's a lot of people calling Trump's impeachment over this whole FBI firing of the assistant, because there's something up when Trump puts that in the letter. He put flags up when he put that sentence in the letter, and why he wrote it in there. I mean, that whatever went on there should have been private between him and Trump. And if Comey had something on Trump and he left it out and left him out of the focal point of the investigation, they're gonna start investigating. So watch this. Watch what happens. Watch what comes out of this. It's going to be interesting. It really is. Former Democratic Representative Corey Brown was found guilty of 18 fraud and tax evasion charges Thursday afternoon in Jacksonville. Charges stemming from accusations she illegally siphoned thousands of dollars from her charity at her own bank, a charity account, and spent it on lavish parties, trips, and shopping excursions. Well, here's another crooked politician. Brown served in the Florida Representative in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1993 until 2017, and she defeated her own 2016 primary race. The indictment came after an investigation into charity and One Door Education Foundation. The federal prosecutors say that they purposely or gave scholarships. There were some scholarships to poor students, okay? And instead, they filled their coffers. And Brown was her associate. So here you go. You have someone who, top of a charity institution, and what is she doing? She's self-serving her own needs. Earlier this year, One Door President Carla Wiley pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud after it was determined that she had deposited, listen to this, deposited $800,000 into a foundation account over 4 years. Over that time, federal prosecutors are saying that the one scholarship was given out for $1,000 and that Wiley transferred herself tens of thousands of dollars. Prosecute today. You know, like I said before, here is what it is. What I think is happening here. You have politicians who serve themselves. You have politicians who, pocket their own money. You have a man who was just in the White House, who just left recently, named Obama, who spend billions and billions and billions of dollars to go on trips and golf. Isn't that special? Yeah, this is what we got here, folks. This is what we're stuck with. Morons running the government, and each one of them serving themselves. Yeah, how about that? This is it. This is what it all comes down to. Okay, this is the filth we're stuck with in the United States. The evil, the evil filth. Isn't it just blow your mind? It really does. In each one of these guys, a charity organization peeling out money. This woman peeling out money for herself. $800,000. My goodness. And this is what I'm saying. This is what's sickening. And then we got another story here. Corey Brown. Yeah, we'll talk about that one later on today. Imagine that. We'll talk about that coming up. This is News and Comment on GJRB Online on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen. I hope you're enjoying the program so far. We're getting things started with News and Comment here on GJRB Online on Spreaker across America. Glad you could be with us. And here's an interesting story. I think this is, Sally Yates is defending herself over this whole thing with the Russian invasion or so. And she's saying that, she's saying she did her job. What job? I quite don't understand that. She's doing her job.
And there were a number of important distinctions between Travel Ban 1 and Travel Ban 2. At the time I had to make a decision, for example, the executive orders still applied to green card holders, lawful permanent residents, and those who had visas. There were a number of other distinctions as well. And look, let me say one thing about...
I want to get on to...
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead, very quickly.
Look, I understand that, people of goodwill and who are good folks can make different decisions about this. I understand that, but all I can say is that I did my job the best way I knew how. I looked at this EO, I looked at the law, I talked to the folks at the Department of Justice, gathered them all to get their views and their input, and I did my job.
Yeah, she did her job. Yeah. This whole travel ban thing, everybody's making a big fuss out of it, but you don't understand the whole situation, okay? All right, this travel ban, Trump put in place for a reason, okay? This travel ban is for terrorists who come over to this country, right? Who threaten this country, who are a threat to the United States of America. This is ISIS, for one. And I was listening, my wife had something on here earlier. Jerry Lewis, the man's smart. He's fantabulously smart. And he stated on there that we are just fueling ISIS, We're not stopping them. We're just reporting what they're doing. How's that stopping them? You have to wonder about that. He's right there. All we're doing is reporting what ISIS is doing, but we're not doing anything to stop it. Now, I think we are. Look how many times we bombed. Look, Trump bombed them. So maybe, perhaps, we are. It is possible. Coming up, Texas adoption agencies are going to ban Jews, Muslims, and LGBT from adopting. And, don't quite understand that, Barack Obama says eating more steaks contributes to climate change. Come on now. Oh, we'll talk about that next in Page 2. America's Street Music is back on GJRB, Bluegrass with Rascals, Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys, and so much more. So it's time to bring it back, and on more often. It's Bluegrass Jubilee Freestyle, with all the great songs you heard before, and some new up-and-coming stars with some emerging bluegrass. Also, some all-time gospel favorites, too. Every third Saturday at 2 o'clock Central on GJRB. Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's Sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's Sports page, alternating Saturdays at 2 o'clock Central on GJRB Online. And you're listening to the Gary Russen program as we start our show always on Freestyle Friday with news and comment. That's what we do here on GJRB Online. And here's an interesting story that I found was quite fascinating. There's a Texas adoption ban going on. And this adoption ban says that they're going to prevent adoption. They're going to seek people seeking adoption of children in Texas will be rejected. These are the ones that are connected with LGBT. They're saying the Jews are part of that. Texas agencies and religious objections to Jewish, Muslim, and gay or interfaith couples from adopting children. This is going on its way to be discriminating against them. And there's part of the proposal in the Republican-controlled legislature right now to do this. 5 states are doing it. They've already passed similar protection faith-based adoption agencies. And the bill has been scheduled for debate and approval in the state house. Republicans consider sponsoring this Texas bill, say it is designated to support religious freedom, although opponents are saying that it robs children of stable homes while funding discrimination. LGBT advocates say that they have 24 pending bills that encourage discrimination. What do you think about that one? I quite don't understand why even the Jews are in that. Somehow I have a problem with that one. That story, even though I don't really believe in the homosexual lifestyle, but and I can see why children should be adopted by them, but Jews, I kind of wonder about that. I just quite didn't understand that story. Barack Obama says eating more steaks contributes to climate change. What the heck? This is according to a report. He says that people who increase meat consumption in turn is spiking the growth of the greenhouse emissions coming out of the agricultural sector. Former president shared his views of growing threat during a conversation about food with his former chef Sam Cass, the Food Innovation Summit in Milan. He stated, quote, people aren't familiar with the impact of cows and methane. As people want to increase the more meat consumption, that in turn is spiking the growth of greenhouse emissions coming out of the architectural sectors. Yeah, that's what he's saying. The amount of cows, Obama explained, were contributing to global pollution, alluding to the forms of methane gas emissions from cow herds. Okay. He said, quote, no matter what we are going to see in the increase of meat consumption, pointing out to that of the economies of China, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam, more advanced countries. Obama said he would have to teach people to have a smaller steak and explore reductions in meat consumption. And what does that mean? I mean, come on now. Really? I mean, come on, stupid Mr. Obama. Where did you get that logic? His cook, the one I mentioned, chef's name, he said he served like thousands of steaks to Obama. He says that thousands of them. And he said he cooked for Obama for like 10 years. Says Obama's saying he's not a vegetarian, but he respects him, but he still eats meat. What a hypocrite. I bet you he had more steaks than the rest of us. I bet you he traveled around the world, taxpayers' dollars. Why not eat steak? I mean, really. I mean, this is Mr. Obama, folks. Yeah. Coming up, we'll do our birthdays and all that other stuff. We're going to talk about Mother's Day a little later on, because that's this weekend. And we'll do our celebrity deaths. We have a few famous people who died here recently. And we'll do your birthday and celebrity birthdays all coming up as we continue the Gary Russen program. And of course, don't forget, news and comment continues throughout the day here on the Gary Russen program on GJRB online on Clinton, here in Clinton. And we'll have another news update coming up. Gary J. Russen, GJRB.
Next news at the bottom of the hour. Each praise, you're covered and informed.
Yeah, you better believe it. And it's time.
Now it's time for the Gary Russen program.
Hello.
Discussing what's in the news, sports, and other things happening in the world. And now you can talk to Gary live at area code 563-613-4260.
Yeah, I get it every time I do that.
This is the beacon of truth on internet radio. This is the Gary Russen program on GJRB.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everywhere across America and around the world, wherever you're listening, on social sites, devices, all over America. iTunes, well, Spreaker, okay? All over the place. Welcome to the Gary Russen program, Freestyle Friday edition of the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. That means anything goes and can go and usually does here on GJRB. This is where it happens, man. This is where we're doing the shoe. The Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. Glad you could be aboard with me today. We've got a lot going on our program this afternoon, so I hope you'll stay with me. Got a lot of talking going on. We got a lot going on with this whole bit, and James Comey, got us by surprise Thursday afternoon when, or was it Wednesday? Yesterday was Thursday. It was Wednesday afternoon when it was announced that James Comey, the FBI Director, was fired by President Trump. Was fired right on the spot. Was fired. The way he didn't know he was fired. Actually, he learned from a television newscast that he was fired. He just learned from a TV newscast that he was fired. Okay, and later on, he got a letter from President Trump saying that you're fired and you'll no longer work here as of immediately. Stated a sentence that I think really, really is going to hurt him very severely. President Trump wrote in the letter something about thank you for not making me the part of the investigation. Dumb sentence, Trump. Really stupid. You just kind of put your flag up the pole, man. Seriously, you just did. Because when you said that, it sent some red flags up the pole. Because now they're gonna wonder if you were part of that whole thing. This isn't talking about the Russians sticking their nose in our elections. Talking about the Russians invading in our elections and fixing it for Trump to win. And see, Trump more than likely would have said that. He more than likely put his flag up the pole because now he is pretty much said, I was involved. But thank you for keeping it quiet. I was involved, but thank you for keeping it quiet. Yeah. Really. That spells trouble, okay? Because now the investigation's going to come up and say, well, look what you told me here. Something that should have been kept in the private conversation. Why did you put that in the letter, Mr. Trump? Because now you have put your flag up the pole and now you are going to be investigated. Because they're going to be asking some questions about why you wrote that in that letter. Right off the bat. So here we go. You just pretty much laid it on the line and put your flag up the pole there, bud. So you better enjoy your presidency while you can, because I think you're going to be impeached. They're calling for impeachment of Trump. Do an investigation over this whole thing with and then I guess some letters going out, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but boy, I guess he's going to be sorry he wrote that in that letter. Okay, well, you know what I mean. It's time now for weather in the news. It's where we talk about what kind of news and weather. And did you see what happened in Colorado this past week? Oh man, we're talking about hail dropping and cracking. Hailstorms ravaging Denver, Colorado, including Colorado Rockies baseball game in their stadium. That day, the Cubs were supposed to play the Rockies, and that game was canceled because of this. It broke windows in cars, smashed up windshields. Some pictures here of hailstones breaking windows in back of cars. Some really extensive damage there in Denver, Colorado. Boy, I hate to see the, but that is a fantasy of most of your insurance guys who are saying, we got you now, you know. Oh boy, let's take a look at the weather on the 5s right now and see what weather is aboard for you guys. Let's take a look. Scattered to numerous thunderstorms will focus along a slow-moving front stretching from the southern plains to lower Mississippi Valley in the mid-Atlantic. Some of these storms may be severe. Heavy rain may be causing some flooding, especially in the central Appalachians today, in the coastal sections, and northeast tomorrow. So we're looking at some pretty nasty weather. We'll be taking a look at that forecast throughout the afternoon. Every half hour, 55, 25 past the hour, weather on the 5s on GJRB.
After 1 year, the wait is over. Now join Pastor Ron Johnston and a panel of men and women to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy. In this world of chaos and upheaval, this is the program that puts it all into perspective. How will we survive? God only knows. So trust Him and listen to the last 7 days.
Uploaded as a podcast or live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. We all run a busy schedule, and maybe we don't have time to catch the Gary Russen program. Well, here's the solution. The best of the Gary Russen program, highlighting the most memorable parts of recent shows. Each podcast, I will play clips of previous shows and talk about them. Watch for podcast uploads during the GJRB's podcast weekend on GJRB's public site on Spreaker, reflecting on the past memories of past shows. The best of the Gary Russen program on GJRB.
That sound more like everyone else than anyone else.
Hey, all right, it's Kip Casper.
Spreaker is the website which turns anyone into a radio DJ. Log on to Spreaker.com for listening to thousands of radio channels and start creating your own radio today.
The mainstream media is not telling you the truth. They have their own agenda. At GJRB, I have mine, telling you what's really going on with sources like End Time Headlines, InfoWars, Coast to Coast AM, and most importantly, CBN News, keeping you on top of what's happening at the top and bottom of each hour during the Gary Russen program. I'll give you the news and analysis of what I think with Gary J's News and Comment. Get the real news. True news. News that's not in the mainstream. On GJRB. And you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online on Freestyle Friday. The end of the week extravaganza where we just do a lot of fun stuff just because I love doing radio, you know what I mean? Coming up in another half an hour, we'll give you a chance to get in on the conversation, talk about some things we're talking about in the news, and of course news and comment throughout the afternoon here on the Gary Russen program. Here on GJRB, here on Spreaker, where else can you find this much fun and just wonder how we do it? Well, you know, just that simple. Just have a lot of fun here, and I hope you'll stay with me for the Gary Russen program. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll invite you to call in. We'll do some more news stories. I have obits coming up, and your birthday, wherever it is, you have a birthday, we'll announce it on the air, and then we'll give you some of the celebs and stars that are celebrating with you. I don't know how many people out there are celebrating birthdays, but let's see what some of the celebrities and stars that are celebrating. So stick around for that. That's coming up next here on GJRB Online on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen. Thanks for listening to the Gary Russen program. And here's some of the stories we're covering for you this afternoon on GJRB Online, including that story we just mentioned earlier. And it looks like it could be curtains for Donald Trump over a letter that he wrote firing James Comey and saying that perhaps that cause for an investigation. Also talking about peace talks going on with Israel and Israeli talks. They're hoping that Abbas will consider that with Netanyahu. We'll have that story and some additional stories throughout the afternoon on Freestyle Friday, Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. I'm Gary J. Russen at the GJRB News Desk. More news throughout the show on Freestyle Friday, GJRB Online.
Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's sports page, alternating Saturdays at 2 o'clock Central on GJRB Online.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land.
If you're a new emerging artist and want your songs out there, the place to go is Reverb Nation. Reverb Nation, a website purely devoted to new music from new artists from every town and every state in the U.S. If you're a solo artist and recording your own music, it's Reverb Nation. Stop on by, visit, listen to the music. Check out the site, www.reverbnation.com. Put your music out there and gain an audience. Go to Reverb Nation for the best in new music. And remember, if you like your songs played on GJRB Online's Up and Coming, drop me an email at GaryJ65@yahoo.com. And I'll be playing your song on all GJRB Online shows. Remember the name, Reverb Nation.
Watch. Pray. For you not know what hour the Son of God will return. Prophecy. New World Order. Terrorism. Economic collapse. Wars. Pandemics. Israel. When they say peace, then cometh sudden destruction. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, signs in the heavens. Keep up with world news and events you hear on GJRB's News on the Hour. Go to End Time Headlines at www.endtimeheadlines.org. With a lot of chaos happening, keep in touch with End Time Headlines and GJRB. Watch. Pray. For we not know what hour the Son of God will return. Prophecy. New World Order. Terrorism. Economic collapse. Wars. Pest. Israel. When they say peace, then cometh sudden destruction. Earthquakes. Volcanic eruptions. End Time Headlines at www.endtimeheadlines.org.
That sound more like everyone else than anyone else
Spreaker is the website which turns anyone into a radio DJ. Log on to Spreaker.com for listening to thousands of radio channels and start creating your own radio today.
you're a new emerging artist and want your songs out there, the place to go is Reverb Nation. Reverb Nation was ideally devoted to new music from new artists from every town and every state in the U.S. If you're a solo artist and recording your own music, it's Reverb Nation. Stop on by, visit, listen to the music, check out the site, www.reverbnation.com. Put your music out there and gain an audience. Go to Reverb Nation for the best in new music. And remember, if you like your songs played on GJRB Online's Up and Coming, drop me an email at GaryJ65@yahoo.com. And I'll be playing your song on all GJRB online shows. Remember the name, Reverb Nation.
It's that time of year once again, spring. A time when the weather gets warm and the flowers bloom, and GJRB is starting new programs and bringing back older ones that haven't been on for a while. It's the GJRB Spring Spectacular. All new programs and old ones returning, like Radioland, Gary J's Radio and Television Classics under a new name. Radio, television, and movie classics featuring not just radio and television broadcast rarities, but also intermissions from drive-in movie theaters and indoor theaters too. Old movie trailers and movie trivia. The Spring Spectacular will also mean the return of the blues with Gary J's Blues House and country bluegrass with Bluegrass Jubilee. New additions to the Gary Russen program, including the Man on the Street, as I take my voice recorder to the streets of Clinton and ask people their opinions on what's going on in the news and lighter fun stuff. GJRB Spring Spectacular. Now, going on GJRB. America's Street Music is back on GJRB, Bluegrass with the Grass Golds, Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys, and so much more. So it's time to bring it back, and on more often. It's Bluegrass Jubilee Freestyle, with all the great songs you heard before, and some new up-and-coming stars with some emerging bluegrass. Also, some all-time gospel favorites too. Every third Saturday at 2 o'clock Central on GJRB. Giving new artists what they deserve the most. Recognition and airplay. GJRB. Yeah, we're back. Yaha. All right. Yeah. And you can be part of the show, man. All you got to do is just pick up your line there and call area code 563-613-4260, or just get in there. I'm going to have Skype open a little later on. I didn't open it again before we went on the air, but we will have it on a little later on, so it'll give you a chance to participate in the show on Freestyle Friday. And, of course, you can talk to me in the chat room. All you got to do is do what some people have already done, and that is join me in the chat room and be on the air. And we have some, we already have a participant on the air right now. Rachel Ozzie Jarvis joining us. Hi, Rachel. How you doing today? Welcome to the program. Welcome to the Gary Russen program. Talking a lot about news, what's going on with the president and his whole bit with the Russians. And we're going to talk about that today. Will you quit call the program? I had just mentioned the number, area code 563-613-4260, or you can dial in on the, I don't have the Skype open yet. I got to get that open now. I'll do that here in a minute or two, and you could be on the air with me. But right now, though, I want to see what we've got here. Let's see here. I'm going to I'll be taking a break here, probably about a little close to 1:45. And then I'll be coming back for a complete. And I get calls sometimes. I'll just go to a non-stop break. We'll just go straight on through. And I have news and comment continuing this afternoon. I start my show on Fridays with news and comment. Kind of like, it's dedicated to Paul Harvey. He was my hero when I was young. I used to like Paul Harvey because he was one of the best radio commentators there ever was. I used to love to listen to him because here's a man who was a conservative commentator. He believed in our freedoms. He loved America. He was a great conservative man, and I miss Paul Harvey. I used to listen to him every day. I always tried to make time. And it was usually in my lunch hour. I would go in when I worked at the when I was at the college radio station. It was a broadcast college in Cleveland, and I worked at the station was our school radio station was WOSB. It was Ohio School of Broadcasting, and I used to go and I used to listen to the ABC feed because we used to get the ABC feed at our school. And we were ABC affiliates, so everything was ABC. So we had the ABC feed, and I would go and listen to the ABC feed and listen to Paul Harvey, and I loved that. That man was fabulous, and his rest of the story was always good too. I don't think there'll ever be a man. I mean, well, Mike Huckabee tried to come back with try and be like Paul Harvey, but I don't think Huckabee could really do it as good as Paul Harvey. He had you when he told the story. When Paul Harvey told the story, he had you there. He had you hanging on every word. And he would tell some really interesting stories. It wasn't just what was going on in the news that day. It was usually some other story he picked up, and he would tell some really oddball stories. He had some really good ones, and I missed that show. I missed that man. I missed the commentary, and so I decided when I was going to do this show that I was going to do a Paul Harvey type commentary like that. And I love that. I really love doing it. And we do it on Fridays. I was going to stop it, but I decided I'm not going to do it. I can't give that up. You know, when I do my Friday and Wednesday show. On Wednesdays I do it in my second hour. And then on Fridays I do it at the beginning of the show. And then I start getting some opinions in. And so that's how I made that happen. And I thought it was really fabulous. I really put a lot of work into finding my stories, which I was up late last night, finding stories for this, and finding some big things like Obama saying, eating steak contributes to global warming, climate change. What a screwball. Just what an idiot. I can't believe it. Anybody would sit there. I don't know where he got his proof. Really don't. But I gotta tell you, till this day, it makes me laugh every time I think about it. Really, it does. It's hilarious. Oh my, I don't know. It's just too much. Due because of methane, the methane, gas, cow gas. Just crazy. You gotta love this stuff. I'm telling you, we're gonna do it anyway. We got a Friday afternoon, and I love doing Freestyle Friday. Coming up, we'll do famous obits, celeb birthdays, and if you have a birthday, even you, Rachel, if you tell me what your birthday is, what I'll do is I put it in my bank here on the computer, or else I have it because you're on my Facebook now. When you come on to my Facebook, you will you can just register your birthday there. I'll see. Facebook will tell me, and then what I'll do is I'll announce your birthday on the air and the celebrities that are celebrating with you. So keep that in mind if you want to have your birthday announced on the radio. I'm going to be taking a promo break because we're getting near to the end of this segment, but I will be right back. I got more of the Gary Russen program coming up here on GJRB Online. So stay with me for more fun, more Gary Russen program. And we'll talk more about some of this stuff. Stand by your internet radio because the Gary Russen program will be right back.